Hey everyone, it's Brett Hornby here, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. And here we are, approaching actually officially the first day of spring. In March 2021, I decided, just another thing to get out of the house and capture some footage. And it's been a long damn time since I've been here. It's been the longest off season ever, as the 2020 CFL season has been canceled. But here I'm back at McMahon Stadium, and just going to walk around and see what's changed, and hopefully reminisce that I'll be here for real in 3 months. Roughly, let's say, right about up there, R53. That's where I've had my season tickets. This would be my 24th season, if we actually have a season, but yeah, it's really say it's been a really long time, so I'm just going to walk around the site and reminisce, and hopefully see football here in a few months, now that we're officially in the spring. I guess you can see down there some geese. I wonder if they're ready for some Canadian football as well. And also been the recent news about the potential, the CFL and XFL talking, and yeah, the geese are ready to say go Stamps go, as you can hear. But yeah, getting back to, it's just been a long time since I've been here. I mean, who thought that when I was here for the 107th Grey Cup with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Hamilton Tiger Cats that, it's been like almost a year and a half since I've, last year was for a game. I guess the joke would be is that, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers waited so long to get the Grey Cup, so they can still keep it. Oh, it's just a groundskeeper. Just walk around taking the air. I mean, this is that practice field that, as you can see here, there's those goalposts right here. And I know more often than not the Stampeders practice in the stadium now, but there was times that they practiced on this field. I know sometimes that you could be driving by on Crowchild Trail, which is, or 16th Avenue near Crowchild Trail, where that's the Trans-Canada Highway. On the longest roads in the world, you can see the Stampeders practicing. But yeah, this is the view looking north, at the University of Calgary. So I'll just take in a few more moments and shots here and just walk around, and I'll try to get actually some footage and see what it looks like at Foothills Stadium as well. Because this whole area is also, I think there's talks about potentially redeveloping this whole area. I know that if we were to go ahead with the 2026 Winter Olympics, I know that there was plans to put that field house where Foothills Stadium is, and that small track, and actually redevelop this stadium. It's time to get at least a new-ish stadium here in Calgary. As I've been to other CFL stadiums, and haven't been to them all. I haven't been to in Montreal. I have not been to Percival Molson Stadium, or the Olympic Stadium, or the Big O. I haven't been to Toronto, or I haven't been to Beano Field, and I have not been to Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton. But I have been to every other CFL stadium. I guess you could say I was in a preview of the new Mosaic Stadium. But the best stadium definitely is the BC Place in my mind, out in Vancouver. And before the old Mosaic Stadium got torn down, I'm going to say we have definitely I'm going to dare say the worst CFL stadium in the CFL. I mean, it's no shame to say that. It's over 60 years old. But I would be ready to move on from this stadium a lot more than with the Stampede Corral. So I'm going to wrap up this visit right here and just walk around, and kind of do the same thing with my Corral videos. So I'll see you there and catch some pictures. Well, I'm back, and actually I don't spend as much time on this side of the stadium, as this is the west side of the stadium, and it's kind of the back way of the stadium if you're familiar with McMahon Stadium, as most fans, coming off of the LRT, walking up Banff Trail and walking that pedestrian bridge over Crowchild Trail, that most likely you're walking in on the east side of the stadium, and then you walk around to the west side. I mean, there is the west entrances here, but I'm going to say 95% of the time I've caught a game, either hockey or football, mostly football, but there was occasional couple hockey games that I caught here. I was always on the east side of the stadium, as that's where my season tickets are, and it's also nicknamed the sunny side, because that's where the sun shines last. And one thing I do kind of miss, especially this past year, where some people comment on, let's say on Monday, that saying, gee, you look a little extra red, did you get extra sun in the office? And then I say, yeah, well, it was game day and I was sitting in the sun, but that's where I sit. I mean, on the west side, I remember capturing actually my first game at my first live Stampeders game back in 1994, and I believe, yeah, we were playing the Saskatchewan Rough Riders. This was during the heyday when we had Doug Flutie and Dave Sapundis, and we always beat the the competition then. But I definitely knew that Rider fans were crazy back then. But I remember I was in row 1 in the red section, and other times I remember actually sitting on the west side of the stadium. I know before, when I got season tickets in 1997, I did remember I was here for a game, and actually it wound up being a historical game back in 1996, because it wound up being the last time the Ottawa Rough Riders played here. I actually was at that game, and then of course I was on the west side for the Heritage Classic in 2011, where I was at the main game where the Calgary Flames defeated the Montreal Canadiens 4-0, and 10 years later, I think we're homing in on the Montreal Canadiens in the North All Canadian Division on terms of who's likely going to make the playoffs or not. And then I was also here the next day for the Calgary Hitmen. I was also sitting on the west side of the stadium where the Calgary Hitmen played their outdoor game, and although we lost that one 3-2 in against the Regina Pats on the late goal. So those are, I think, the only other times I remember actually sitting on the west side of the stadium. As I'd say over 95% of the time I sat on the east side stadium. I mean, when your season tickets is over there. And of course, you know, the 3 Grey Cup games that I've captured. My first one in 2000, where the BC Lions defeated the Montreal Alouettes. It was 28-26. That game was memorable for a couple of reasons. One, it was Louis Passaglia's last game as the legendary kicker. It was his last game, and he retired. And that year, while the BC Lions, while they spoiled the dream the week before, where they defeated the Calgary Stampeders, there was the underdog BC Lions, where they were 8-10 and defeated the Montreal Alouettes. And I remember that game got chippy at the end. And then in 2009, I was here for that Grey Cup, and let's just say that one was extremely memorable for, let's just say, Too Many Men. Everyone remembers the Too Many Men with the 13th man with the Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Well, the Montreal Alouettes won that Grey Cup. I think it was 28-27 that the Montreal Alouettes won. But everyone remembers the Too Many Men where Montreal was going for the winning field goal. But let's remember that Montreal actually came back in the 4th quarter. But it would have been a massive upset, and definitely Riderville celebrated in our house. But they were definitely heartbroken. I have a small, very small sympathy for them. But it was awesome to be there either way. And then the last game, the last time I was here for a live game in 2019, where it was the Winnipeg Blue Bombers who defeated the Hamilton Tiger Cats. If I remember, it was 33-12. That game was memorable for a couple of reasons. Where, well, obviously the Winnipeg Blue Bombers finally ended their 29-year Grey Cup drought, and at that time it was the 2 longest teams who had the longest Grey Cup droughts. I mean, Hamilton still hasn't won their last Grey Cup since 1999, and they've lost a few tough ones since then in recent years. And I know that I remember one fan that sits nearby me, and if he happens to watch this video, I know you know who you are. I remember he's a big Hamilton Tiger Cat fan, and he definitely took that game loss really hard, and that was the last game I was at. So yeah, that's this, all my legendary Grey Cup games, and just all the years that Calgary hosted the Grey Cup in recent years, we had hopes to be in there, and ultimately the team that was in the Grey Cup here in Calgary ultimately beat Calgary along the way on the journey. So I mean, it's still, hopefully we'll have a time where I'll be able to celebrate Calgary winning the Grey Cup here in Calgary. I mean, at least I got to take it in where I was on the right end in 2014 in Vancouver and 2018 in Edmonton. I was on the wrong end of it in Ottawa in 2017, but try not to complain too much because since I've been coming here and won the Stampeder games, we've been one of the top teams. But yeah, this is the west side of the stadium, the side that I don't go very often, but I still do have some memories sitting on the west side. So I'll capture a few more pictures and just walk my way around and eventually again the side where I spend most of my time here. So I'll see you there. Well, as I'm working my way around to the north side of the stadium, I stopped for a moment here, and what's significant about this shot, I mean, you see the University of Calgary campus on the distance, but you can see a couple kind of landmarks, shadows, as you can see, you know, one of the light fixtures and one of the poles on McMahon Stadium. And you could say that's one of the, you know, unique features of our, let's say, our old humble stadium that's been here since 1960. And actually recently, I believe, yeah, his name was Roger Slayhu. He actually was general manager of the Calgary Stampeders for the 1971 Grey Cup, which obviously that predates me. Well, he actually recently passed away, so condolences to everyone that's in the family from that. But the legacy of Roger Slayhu was not only he built the team for the 1971 Grey Cup, but he was also one of the designers for our McMahon Stadium. Legend there was it was built back in 1960, and they said it only took 103 days. And if you look at some Glenbow archives of McMahon Stadium, and if you see the stadium today, I mean, actually my season ticket seat didn't exist back then, the top section, and the stadium definitely has been added on over the years. I mean, you can see, you know, some of the pictures here that I shared, but there you got the, you know, clubhouse. And I also remember when I started getting season tickets where I used to sit, there used to be actually a little more attendance, but they also had the clubhouse seats on the east side where I sat as well. So the capacity actually has dropped over the years, but yeah, it's just something neat to point out. Just you can see kind of the shadows of the features that makes McMahon Stadium unique. I mean, it's our old humble stadium, but we definitely need a new stadium in the long run, as I have been to other CFL stadiums I mentioned, and I'm actually kind of jealous, but I still love coming out here, and hopefully I'll get to do that later this year. So I'll just continue walking around site, just enjoy those shadows on one of the light posts. Well, here I am at the northeast corner of McMahon Stadium, and yeah, we're staring at the Olympic torch that was used back in 1988. As where I am standing when Calgary hosted the Winter Olympics back in 1988, this was the site of the opening and closing ceremonies, as I meant to say. And if we were to go ahead, or we would have went ahead with the Olympic bid for 2026, as much as I think it would have been neat, because I was definitely too young at the time to fully appreciate the whole spectacle that my hometown, my home city where I live, hosted the Olympics. Yeah, we had the Olympics. I mean, I do have some faint memories of it, but I definitely did not fully appreciate it. But it just didn't make economic sense at the time, and still hope that maybe one time that we could get the Olympics again, where I'll be old enough to appreciate it. But this stadium would have been the site of the opening and closing ceremonies, and some renderings had, you know, this whole place, you know, updated and refreshed. But you know, on the north side of the stadium, this is where the Red and White Club and the Olympic Volunteer Center, as I definitely took some pictures. There's just too much vehicular traffic right now to be walking around, but I have the pictures. But this is the Olympic Volunteer Center, the Red and White Club, and yeah, you can see that logo, the official logo that was used for it was the 15th Winter Olympics for back in 1988. Yeah, I was saying traffic, so I was just trying to avoid the traffic. But yeah, you can see the torch right here, and it's been out since February 1988. But you know, we also did host the World Police and Fire Games in 1997 as well. So definitely some international historic events happen right here, in addition to, of course, Stampeders, Dinos football, and occasionally the odd hockey game. And actually, if you go back to my Remember the Calgary series, some soccer, the Calgary Boomers. And then I say pan around here, see if I can get any better video or picture. But that's Foothills Stadium, where you know, I think that stadium is slated for demolition, because it hasn't been used much since 2011 after the Calgary Vipers. And that was also home to the Calgary Cannons. And yes, I'll eventually get to talking about those teams in my Remember the Calgary series. And then, you know, the Calgary Cardinals and Expos also played there. So yeah, this is the Foothills Athletic Park on McMahon Stadium. There is plans to redevelop this whole area, and as I say, we definitely need a new stadium, or at least revive the stadium. And I know there's some soft plans about redeveloping at least this stadium, but I think there's plans that eventually we're going to need a field house that it would cover this whole area. So I'll just close it out. Let's look at the former cauldron for the Olympic torch that was used back in 1988. Just continue walking around and capture a few more pictures and video, and you know, finally get to close out where I catch most of my games, at least from the outside, and you know, the east side, the side that I'm most familiar with, also known as the Well, here is the best view that I can get without actually being inside the field of Foothills Stadium, formerly home of the Calgary Cardinals, Calgary Expos. I would say most famously noted, the Calgary Cannons, and then the Calgary Vipers. Yeah, it's been 10 years since I last caught action in this stadium, and I still plan to talk about the Calgary Vipers and the Calgary Cannons in my Remember the Calgary series. Obviously, I've been busier with other content, you know, trying to get out and do videos like this, and you know, now it's hockey season again, so it's still coming. I've still got to work on my notes for those videos. But yeah, this is how Foothills Stadium looks, and there's definitely, you could see it starting to fall apart. I know this whole area around here kind of, you know, has an indoor baseball academy, so you can have and this is like a City of Calgary rec building now, and I know that I think eventually you can get some bookings in that. I was only able to get this view because I'm standing on a snow pile that's piled right here. I'm thankful for that, and it's still holding, but yeah, this is what Foothills Stadium looks like, and I know that I think eventually this stadium is going to get knocked down, and there is some redevelopment plans. And I know that if you look over here, that's where that Foothills Athletic Park is, where there's a track and all that. I think hopefully, and I know that if we would have went ahead with the 2026 Winter Olympic bid, that this whole area would have been like an indoor field house, which is what the city really needs. And thinking of the city of over 1.2 to even 1.4 million people, depending on how you count the metropolitan area, we don't have many of those, and this definitely would be the better area. And of course, pan around, you can see this is the view of McMahon Stadium, right where near Foothills Stadium. And you gotta wonder who could hit some home runs far enough from here back in the Cannons days. I still say that if Ken Griffey Jr. went to the major leagues right from high school, Ken Griffey Jr. could have played here, as we were the farm team for much of the time when the Cannons were here for the Seattle Mariners. But I also know that you know, famous Cannons from the past would be like Danny Tartabull and Alex Rodriguez, A-Rod. Despite how you feel about him, he actually spent some time here in Calgary, as Omar Vizquel. I'll have to look at all the famous Cannons that played, you know, over the years in my Remember the Calgary series. And I also know when we were the farm team for the Chicago White Sox, well, we had Jim Abbott. Yeah, that Jim Abbott with the one-handed pitcher. And then going back to when I was here for when I watched Calgary Vipers games back in 2011, one of the teams that was in that league was the Yuma Scorpions, and I got to see Jose Canseco. Yes, that Jose Canseco. He was the manager of that team, and actually at one time he had to be a player as well. He was a player and manager. And actually there was one game, I wasn't at that game, but there was a game that he actually pitched. So I actually got to see Jose Canseco right here in Calgary in this stadium. I got to see Jose Canseco have a few at-bats. One of the sluggers, I know that he also put a black eye on that Juice book about, you know, the steroids, but still it was a thrill. That it was a big name. Got to see Jose Canseco. But yeah, just reminiscent on Foothills Stadium while I'm here. That I still got, you know, the Calgary Vipers, the Calgary Cannons episodes that I'm still working on and getting my material ready to do those videos in my Remember the Calgary series. I want to get that wrapped up in the next few months. And you know, it's the first day of spring. It is almost time for baseball. I mean, spring training in the major leagues. And you know, as they say, I know that actually one of the teams I cheered for growing up actually was the Florida Marlins, and did enjoy 2 World Series with them. And actually the Calgary Cannons were the farm team for the Florida Marlins towards the end of their tenure here. But now you can probably say my baseball team is the Toronto Blue Jays, as a proud Canadian. And I also do miss the Montreal Expos, and hopefully we get them back. And as I said, going back to the episode 7, I Remember the Calgary series with the Cardinals and Expos. Well, yes, we were affiliated with those teams, so we have a little bit of Montreal Expos history here in Calgary. I know Andres Galarraga, the Big Cat, also spent some time here in Calgary. So it's just interesting. There's some baseball history that was here that, you know, had some big names in the big leagues. So yeah, just pan around and just capture a few more pictures on the east side where I regularly catch games at McMahon Stadium, and probably wrap this up and make this all in one big package, and just another, you know, series or another video to reminisce on Calgary sports history and some Olympic history as well. So there. Well, here I am. This is definitely the view I'm most familiar with when entering McMahon Stadium on game day, as these are the gates that I always go into when entering the stadium. And on the other side, and this is the east side of the stadium, and this is the side that you most likely will see coming off from the C train and walking up that pedestrian bridge from the Banff Trail Station over Crowchild Trail. And if you were here for the 107th Grey Cup, this is where that big tent was. And obviously it was only a temporary facility, but that's gone. But see the ticket office and the stamp store, I'll still walk over there and capture a few pictures. But yeah, that's the big horse. Go horse, as that's one of the perks of being on the east side of the stadium, is if you like the sun. I mean, on the west side, that's where the Stampeders bench is, and the visitors bench is on this side. That's where I always sit, but the horse runs down on the east side, and that's where we say go horse as it goes by, and count how many points the Calgary Stampeders have. And hopefully we'll get to do that for real in a couple months. I mean, yeah, it's the first day of spring right now, and we still don't know if there's going to be a season when fans are allowed. I mean, heck, actually on Sunday, May the 23rd, actually it's scheduled for the Calgary Stampeders to be here playing the BC Lions. So we don't know if that game is still going to happen. And of course, you know, with the recent news about the potential, I mean, the CFL and the XFL have been talking partnership, merger. We don't know. But could that be something we might have to monitor in the future? And I made my first initial video on that and give my various takes and feelings on it. But could this be beneficial for both leagues? And of course, going back, you know, you can see that the university actually owns the stadium. And of course, you know, going back, that this facility hosted the 1980 Winter Olympics for the opening and closing ceremonies, and I think we could have been here again in 2026 if we would have went ahead with it. I mean, Italy eventually got the Olympics for 2026, but I think if Calgary would have went ahead with it, it just didn't make economic sense. And we, not get to sound too political, it just didn't make sense with the current administration that we have right now. But Olympics just get too expensive, but it would have been neat if we had it and had this whole area redeveloped. But it's still something we need to do to be more modern, at least for the fan experience. I know that the players and the executives, they have their nice, you know, new locker room and offices, but the fan experience definitely needs catching up here. And I mean, I'm always going to love this stadium and always have good and bad memories, you know. Obviously the great memories like the big wins, but I've definitely encountered a lot of tough losses in here. Some, you know, Western finals that we were on the wrong end of, and of course some Western finals where I had to bundle up. And that's one of the beauties of being in an outdoor stadium, is you're out in the elements. But I mean, I think the most memorable Western final that I would say I was here would have to been, I mean, 2008 definitely was memorable. On that, I remember that game that the Calgary Stampeders didn't play their best game. We were playing the BC Lions, and we were able to grind out that win. But what made that game memorable was it was a sold-out stadium, and how it felt like we were all united. And that was like one of the loudest experiences I was here at McMahon Stadium. And of course, you know, 2014, that was the big Western final we had against the Edmonton Expos, and I definitely felt a lot more anticipation in that game because that was my first Grey Cup that I went to out of town, and I was really hoping Calgary would show up and win. And you know, I was going to the Grey Cup by the way, but it was the thrill that Calgary was going to the Grey Cup as well. And ultimately, we won that memorable game, and it's got the, you know, my first Grey Cup. I went out of town. I got to see Calgary in it and win it, and that's where I got sobering too at the same time with Bomber fans. That I remember this one guy, I think his name was Doug, and he said he was jealous and lucky, and he said at that time, I think he was at 24 Grey Cups, and he still was waiting to see his team win it. And I hope that guy that I saw in Vancouver, I hope he was here. I hope he was here when Winnipeg won it. And 2019, and I never thought, I mean, going back to memorable games, I mean, the Grey Cup 2019, this was the last time I was here for a game, but the last Stampeders game I was here wasn't very memorable because Calgary lost to Winnipeg, and Bo definitely did not have a good game. I can only imagine how Bo feels knowing that that was the last game he played here before, you know, he didn't think the pandemic would come and wipe out the season, and has happened. But it wasn't a good game for Bo, but hopefully you get to see Bo back here and showing that, I mean, I'm going to have to say, for best quarterback to ever play for the Stampeders, I still say he's Doug Flutie. I have the most nostalgia for Doug Flutie, and my first games watching games here was when Flutie was here. I have to put Bo second. Maybe it's some of his nostalgia, but Flutie was special. And I got to see him play here as well, and I mean, it was a thrill. That's just one of my favorite, you know, quarterbacks of all, like favorite CFL player of all time, I would say. And I'd say we were fortunate to have him for 4 seasons. But yeah, that's just all my memories of McMahon Stadium, just walking on the site. I mean, this is the site view that I'm most familiar with. You see pan around, I mean, this is where you see Foothills Stadium and the baseball academy. It's a indoor baseball. I've seen a lot more, you know, that's where I guess all the activity, you know, seeing families bringing their, you know, kids to play some baseball. Who knows, maybe we'll see some future baseball stars that get developed here. I mean, Canada, I would say, slowly is being better internationally when it comes to baseball. So I'll just walk around a few more times. I'll probably capture another video clip or two and wrap it up. And I'm just saying, it's been way too long, way too damn long that I have not been here, and I'm really hoping that I need to be back here in my red, because as I say, not to get too deep, I mean, this has been a rough time mentally with the COVID-19, with everything, and always have to make some adjustments with your life. But I feel like I'm only going to start healing mentally once I get to go back to games here and, you know, back at the Saddledome. I mean, I need that. Hopefully I'll get to do that soon, and then I can really feel like things are starting to get back to normal. So catch some more pictures, probably one more video. Well, I'm up on the top of the pedestrian bridge going off to Renner Crowchild Trail, as you can hear with the traffic noise, but this is definitely the view that you see as you approach McMahon Stadium, and hopefully we'll see a lot more of this in 2021. It's definitely been a long time, as I said. I have not come here since I last was on the grounds here for the 107th Grey Cup, and you know, of course, with the global pandemic, but hard to say if things are getting better or worse right now, as then we're on the first day of spring in 2021. But I just felt it was a perfect time to get out and make another video of this style and just experiment, you know, capture some pictures and reminisce, share stories, and stitch it all together. And I had to get myself in front of the horse there, and that's what I say. And, what do you thought of McMahon Stadium and my visit for this site on the first day of spring? As you can see, this is all this whole area, the Foothills Athletic Park. See Foothills Stadium, and then there's McMahon Stadium. I'll have to go over there. People coming anyway, but yeah, this is the view of Crowchild Trail, Hotel Village. Here's the skyline you can get right here, and also over the years that you know, I've came here for games over 24 years. This will be my 21st season with season tickets for the Calgary Stampeders. That this whole hotel village definitely has been changed, and I would say for the better. Is especially where you see the Holiday Inn. Well, it replaced it was called the Savory Lodge, but it was co-equally coined the Unsavory Lodge. It definitely was one of those seedy hotels. I mean, I am a sucker for old hotels, but more of the heritage style. I mean, there's still some of the old hotels, as long as it's a half-decent place to stay, but their whole area definitely has been revived for the better, I would say. And then, of course, you know, they're redeveloping Crowchild Trail, which is definitely not one of those projects that the city badly needs to improve traffic flow. But yeah, you can see Calgary Stampeders love YYC. Yes, this is my, you know, my home city, you know, where I capture a lot of my sporting action. As I mean, I love all Calgary sports, and that's why you know on my YouTube channel. So if you want to follow along this Calgary sports fans journey, home of the Flames, Hitmen, Roughnecks, and Stampeders, just make sure you like, subscribe. I mostly do talk Calgary sports on my YouTube channel, and then over here, I talked about some teams in the past, and I still plan to talk some more in my Remember the Calgary series. I played here at Foothills Stadium. But I also do personal vlogs, attempt the comedy, and I also do summer experience swim on the road or a sporting event. So if that all sounds like it'd be interesting to watch, do follow along with this Calgary sports fans journey. You know what you should do, just make sure you like, subscribe. I also have my other social media down in the description below. So hopefully we'll see Go Stamps Go and be back in stands a few months from now, whenever that's going to be. Obviously as safe as possible, but you know, I need to take care of myself and my mental health as well. And doing this, you know, allows me to keep my creative content juices going, and you know, just want to go back to these sites. And also, you know, talking about the redevelopment, well, I mean, I did my Calgary Stampede Corral demolition videos. Well, this might prepare me for maybe saying goodbye to some of these buildings around here as well. So I just want to say thanks for watching all the clips that I have shared from McMahon Stadium, and I'll see you in the next video.